Yeah.
We want to,
Yes, we do. Focus on that initial mission about resiliency and flood protection and sustainability of the river and the watershed. So now we start looking beyond the dam. Once we do some details about the removal of the dam. So one of the things I mentioned in the email was to ask you if you had time to go through those two, because there are more, just those two, whether they're to identify issues that you wanted to learn more about, that you had questions about, that we want to spend time on after the new year. Your reward for showing up tonight is that there won't be any other meetings until after the new year.
There we go. Look at that.
So, and then there are a couple of other things I think that are worth talking about as we think about the full river and the watershed. Other groups we may want to either formally collaborate with or just cooperate with, have them be involved in different parts of it. There are a number of organizations, even just within the town's structure, committees that the town has, but things like Elfie's Environmental Club, high school students, a number, maybe even Coastal Mountains Land Trust. They had two really excellent people working on land protection and stewardship. If we can get to that today, it would be good to just begin identifying groups that we think would be really helpful to us and have our work be helpful to them. So, anything else members of the group want to talk about tonight before we start with that first question?
We do have the addition of a new member, yeah?
We do. It's not formal yet. Is that right, Allison? The select board has not yet formally appointed Pat.
Beeling,
What's the first letter?
B.
Bailey. It's B-E-H.
I don't know if he pronounces it, I think
Pat.
Beeling.
It's Pat.
Pat Beeling, yes.
Right.
He's on the lake, the Megunticook Lake.
Oh, good. That's right. I
Association.
knew that. Yeah.
And he showed up at that pretty much dark field trip we had at the dams.
Yeah.
And is very interested. He told me and a couple of other people how interested he is in the work of the committee and joining. So at the next meeting, I'm hoping he'll be appointed and available.
Yeah, our select board meeting is tomorrow, and it'll be good. They wanted the rest of the select board wanted an update on, you know, this committee wanting to continue and what the mission would be, which I think the message back to the select board will be that it'll be going back, you know, that same mission that was
Given to
originally.
us by
The
them,
entire
right?
watershed,
Right.
right.
So zooming back out and then being responsive sort of as needed or where different interests lie. So we'll tell them that you want to continue and that
Well, let's see.
Pat.
Does
would be-
everyone here still want to be part of the committee and work on this project, looking at the entire river and
I'm
watershed?
gonna make a decision, but I'm gonna see where, you know,
Where
what
the work
is,
goes.
what the workload is, what the issues are and everything, and if there's things
Okay.
that I'm really interested
Okay,
Yep.
well, and then people can,
Don't forget to turn your mic on.
in. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Do I have to
Maybe
repeat
we
that?
pick that
Hopefully another one picked it up a little bit.
Yeah.
but other people, I mean, is there anyone who doesn't want to continue as part of the committee, but maybe participate in some other way or not at all? Forget about the whole thing.
I do. I'll stay on.
Okay, Courtney?
I'm in.
I'm in.
Same.
I'm on for the time being.
Right, okay.
in.
Great. Okay, so you have your answer, that the committee still wants to go forward and wants to work on their initial mission.
Is there anything the select board would like us to focus on more than one thing than another?
I think at this point, it's been, you know, everybody's in different places and it would be hard no, I don't think the select board has a cohesive, this is what we need you to do. Everybody's been kind of waiting. Let's see if we get the grant, what funding there's going to be for this or that. And so, right now, I think we're just in a time, as you can see, there's lots of reports that have been generated from this process, hundreds of pages of information. Some of it's just repeating the past, but it'll be going and, having a group of people that is looking at some of it. And I think there's no way that every committee member can be an expert in every bit of that, but that if it'll be the best if, some people find an interest area in some, aspect of it and want to, things that rise to the top that the select board should be thinking about, or if there are things that the select board should take action on. It's just, I think, more people having it all on their radar and starting to be prepared as people ask questions about different things.
So
And this,
Rick, what do you?
this is not our website. This is
The town of Camden's.
This is the town of Camden's parallel website that talks about everything that
We
we
do.
also have been addressing.
Right.
Is the information on this website the same as what's on ours? And has that been
has ours been
confirmed?
updated recently?
I don't know, but
Well,
I
all
mean,
the information, the list of deliverables is the same.
okay.
I'm not sure if everything's on that, I think
Not all the
that'll
stuff
definitely
from
be an
Is
the-
issue that
was
should
this
be
your
talked about.
baby, Allison? Or
This is what this started way back before the town.
Yeah,
But who
was back.
but I wonder-
updates it?
Who updates it? Audra does, but it has also
some
links
of
to
the
the,
same stuff.
It's a lot of
I mean,
old
there's a
stuff.
lot of old stuff, probably.
Right.
different people absorb information in different.
But the list of deliverables is the same.
I
is
have
it
no
not?
idea if there's,
Is that it?
if these reports are on.
Yeah, I would imagine
that
this
was
most
actually
recent
environmental
stuff.
that
Yeah.
it could update that website. So I don't believe that, that would be a great thing for us to follow up on is
Yeah.
should that website continue to be updated, or should it refer people back to this? Can they give access to?
I was gonna say, referring it back to here probably makes sense.
Right.
Just because that's something that's Audra's always updating.
Yeah.
Well, I think the bigger question is, okay, for citizens of the town who want to know, okay, what's happening with the dam,
Mhm.
with when is the dam coming down, et cetera. Is the person who's going to answer that, is it going to be Audra through her communication one? Is it going to be the select board, or is it going to be this committee? I think that's where is the authority, or not that the three can't work together, but people have to know, hey, do I go to the town website to find out the information? Do I call members of the MRCAC? Do I go in front of the select board to find out? What is going to be the real process of information going forward?
Do you see a problem in having both websites have the same information? In other
No,
words,
no,
if people
not
want to
at
go
all.
to the
Not
town,
at
they
all.
can get it there, or
Right.
they
I'm
could
just
go.
afraid that there's conflicting conclusions or,
Yeah.
just anytime
Right.
you have two separately maintained
Yeah.
and
No, but
established.
if the same person is
Who-
doing it, in other words, if Audra's office,
Who or
But
what?
didn't
But
the
I-
other one, the other one was created by FB.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we shouldn't just have them go back to the town website.
Yeah.
And
And-
since that's constantly being updated, I would
Right.
guess too that Audra would be the one that would have the most, or the select board would have the most current information on what is the status of the grants? What is the status of
Right.
Knox and Knowlton? What,
Yeah,
I
and,
mean, that's one of our weak areas as a town.
right, and
Right.
especially if we're talking about the whole watershed.
Mhm.
I-
and I
think
think it's
that
got to
this-
be who is going to be giving out the official information for the town.
Exactly.
And I don't think this
Yes.
committee is really
No.
No, I
structured to
agree.
do that.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we're,
agree with that.
I agree with
Ellen?
that.
I personally feel like our website is easier to navigate than the town. Like anytime I've gone to the town's website for the same information, I found it
Right.
harder to get to where I wanted to be. So that might be just specific to me, but there might be others who have that same feeling that the MRCAC website is a little more user friendly in terms of, especially for visual.
what's what we
learners.
used. And it was what we referenced as we did our work all along. So I think it's more familiar to us and it's closer to what we
Right.
along the way.
And if part of our job is still outreach, which I think it is, it would be nice to have a platform from which to outreach.
Well,
do
and there
that
may
work.
be things
So,
as part of the outreach, things that we are doing that wouldn't be official
Right.
town announcements that wouldn't really belong on the town
the
website.
question is though, can FB still, are they, is there still money for FB to be working on that kind of thing? Or would we,
So that's
we
the
take
thing,
it
yeah,
on?
there's been zero money, like the
We're done.
last grant is all
Yeah.
out, so anything, that's where we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. If we have funding to remove the dam and move forward with all of that, that will include, the budget included money for a project manager, for communications and outreach, and there is some flexibility in that plan for how exactly it will happen, whether it makes sense to, which things should go through a committee. It might be a good task for everybody to go through the FB or the Mrcac website and look at that and think about what should be continued, and then also figuring out, it just maybe in the short term, somebody having access to it, what FB had planned.
yeah,
So that
are we
is-
paying for that portal too? Like,
Well, is it still there? I'm just
I think so.
I know, it's all been- it's
Well,
just-
I can ask Forrest
It could
what,
be like a monthly fee that we have to pay. I don't
It
know.
probably comes with their ArcGIS subscription, but
Yeah, but they
But we should-
only have a certain amount of data.
maybe we can put that on a list of issues to
Yeah.
resolve.
Yeah, well, the first
Yeah.
step that you just mentioned, I think, would be to have all of us go through the website. I think, and identify things that should stay and things that can go. And then as we go forward, we don't know yet what we're going to have to report on our own until we determine what our role is and what you were saying earlier, Ray, what the work is, where we're going to spend time, either collectively or in small pockets.
Right. I mean, I think.
And until we know that, I'm not sure it makes sense to figure out where it should go.
Yeah, I think some people, depending on how much information you want or what information you want, sometimes people say, oh, I liked going to the town website better. Some people like the Mrcac website better. But you guys can help, I think, to evaluate what type of information is important for the public to get. And then there will be opportunities for certain things that are not set in stone too. So identifying opportunities for like input and collaboration. And like one thing is that there was very limited work done in the design and the former impoundment area or the quote unquote island. And what, anything that might be like the former pond part, some of that's private property. And so at this point, the design assumed like no work on private property. But as things have progressed and there are more people, some of those property owners now say, oh, no, we would want benches there, or we want the the Smiling Cow, for instance, says we definitely want the sediment removed from. So, you guys might be able to play a role in that. What kinds of plantings are going to go in areas where there could be plantings. The library has right, they probably aren't that open to, they've thought about that some, but I think a lot of it depends on what parts you guys might want to be involved in too. Might want to say certain things, well, we'll outsource that to the garden club or.
Those are levels of detail questions that I, for one, am not, my head is just not there yet, talking about landscaping.
Right, so some people get excited about that and some people.
No, I am
don't.
excited about it, don't get me wrong.
But that's a long way down the road.
That's down the road. There's getting rid of stuff first. And I don't know. I mean, if the town is not interested in our reflections on those deliverables,
I think,
I mean, is that worth having, us having a conversation about then, Allison? Is what, when you look through them, is of interest to you? Where do you have questions? That's all I've gotten from Audra in terms of why she wanted us to see all of them, other than just keeping us updated. That we're
I mean, I don't
we're
think we
not
want to force you
screening.
into reading it all.
No, not all of it, but that's, I mean,
If you don't, if you're not.
It's a nice light
I
read.
focus in a couple of areas, but I'm interested in whether other people in the committee had a chance to look through them, and if so, are there areas that we as a group want to spend some time exploring, answering questions, making suggestions, anything like that?
I'm sorry, looking through what?
Looking through the deliverables. The last.
I hear that
email,
word and I
two
gloss
of them.
over.
So all
Sorry.
these list of reports here.
List of
So there's a
reports
couple of
from
different
Mike Berg.
versions.
Okay.
And there were two of them that I focused on for this meeting. One was the really long one about the Montgomery Dam and seawall, and the other one was about all the buildings from the dam up through the Brewster Building. Much shorter.
And there's another report, though, that was just the structural conditions assessment for the buildings. There's another report which looks at the design considerations for the Brewster Building to the Main Street Bridge, which is where, like, along the Lord Camden Inn.
Well, that's
building
part of
where
that
there's
second, that's part of that
Right.
other, the report on that reach.
not
It
any-
has some of the ideas that the Villager Cafe had. That,
Yes, but not.
and also I think
Well,
One-
talk-
you,
it
when I
talks
clicked
about
on
the
the things-
buildings along there, though. It
When
does
I-
talk about the buildings on
it
Tannery.
does.
When I clicked on what you sent, it didn't, it's not the report that I'm thinking of there, but it does deal with some of there's actual design for, like, putting boulders in the,
Yeah, I think
David.
that was mentioned, but no real details.
But there was
Yeah.
no real detail in the one that I pulled out.
Let's see if,
So are there designs for Knox and Knowlton that are at 90% or not? There
Mhm.
are. Okay.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
well,
That's next up.
they're there,
All right,
but
I'm just,
that is a private property thing, so
Mhm.
I think that's important to, like, recognize. It's a little different than the committee and the town commenting on the Montgomery Dam and all the town-owned
Right.
property.
but it'd be nice to know what they would be doing so that it can mesh and at least conform to.
It's
what
all
may be
on the town
happening.
website, like, none of it's being withheld, it's just,
Yeah, that's what made me
there's
think of
just
it.
so much, you're gonna look at it and like,
Mhm.
it's like a document dump.
And have they applied for grants? I assume they have.
Yes, with Johnny Salmon.
Downey Salmon is.
Okay, and do they know when they may hear about funding?
Those are with NOAA, so,
Pending. Oh,
Not as secure.
Okay.
yeah, I guess that's fair to say.
pending.
They're being, the review, they're obviously behind because of the shutdown. The last we heard was that that they had been told they could go forward with the reviews, whereas some grant programs were told, don't even bother reviewing. And the town submitted an application also for this, actually the same scope of work that the NIFWIF application was for, but also including additional design work on the Seabright East and West dams. So if we get the NIFWIF grant, the hope is that, which doesn't cover any kind of design for the high hazard dams, that maybe that we could still get funding from NOAA to do more work on the design for the high hazard dams. I know, that has a lot to do with the flood resiliency stuff and improving the ability of the dams to pass large amounts of water and combining fish passage with the resiliency improvements that we know we're going to need to make, which is where Pat Beeling has a lot of knowledge. He's an engineer and
So funding has been applied for the East, West, and Seabright then as well?
yes, and then County Salmon Federation separately applied for different opportunity with NOAA for the Knox and Milton.
Okay,
Does
just trying to understand the whole.
Yeah.
does receiving the NIFWF grant alter the chances for NOAA at all? Like if the NIFWF comes through, does that like make it less likely to get the NOAA one if it's part of it's for the same scope?
They told us when we were deciding whether to apply that NOAA is a little bit more flexible in their, whereas NIFWF only funds like feasibility, design, construction, they don't combine categories at all. You're not allowed to apply for construction funding unless you're ready to go or close to it. NOAA had said that if we were to get funding from NIFWF, that they do these collaborative agreements,
Okay.
and that there could be a chance for us to say, hey, if you had been really wanting to give us money for that other project, it would be great if we could have a conversation about reallocating some of that to the
next step.
to the high hazard dam. So that, if all the stars aligned and we got the NIFWF funding and then we asked NOAA to give us funding for another.
Yeah. I think a big question is if no funding, external funding or whatever comes through for upstream projects, I'll call them, all right? What happens with the project that was voted on, which is the change of the dam and everything? Removal of Montgomery Dam and Harbor Park. If nothing else is going to be funded for the rest of the river, if the funding doesn't come through, what happens with the Montgomery Dam project?
That would still go forward because all of
It
the
would.
problems exist with, Harbor Park and.
Right. But
which
there'd be
is-
no fish passage up the river.
But it only would be if it was not awarded this time around. I mean, I don't know that you would be prohibited or that it would be unwise
Right.
to apply again. And it could be just a matter of politics.
Oh, yeah, they would reply, like the Downey Salmon Federation would apply again. The town, I'm sure will.
Yeah,
We're going to have that Seabright East and West Dam forever. And I'm sure everybody's going to be looking at all the grant opportunities possible. So it is a difficult time with grants. But
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't believe that would mean that they would pull funding for.
Right. But I think that's one of the things that citizens might be interested in knowing, because this is one step. I'm pointing back here to the Montgomery
Right.
Dam. That's one step in the whole project. And if you can't complete the entire project, what happens to that first step? Does it go through or not?
Except that there's a time element in there.
I know. Yeah.
Which is,
Mhm.
if you can't do the whole thing right now,
Mhm.
as long as there's no reason to believe you couldn't do it later.
Right. Okay.
Again, with the change of administration or
Yep.
just
Yeah.
money flow.
Mhm.
I don't know, or competition for those grants.
Yeah. Okay.
But
fine.
in and of itself, my understanding with what Allison said is that there is no reflexive effect.
Okay, fine. All right.
Because the project has benefits all on its own.
Exactly. By
I was going to
itself.
say that was intentionally not contingent.
But I think that's something with, the town administration and select board should have an answer for, because that question is going to be asked.
Yeah, and once we, can find out
About
the
the first
certainty of
grant.
some
that-
funding,
Right,
then it'll
yeah,
be,
right.
it's just hard to have those conversations because everybody's just like, we
Mhm.
hope to be in a position where we're going to have to answer that, rather than have to answer the question of like, oh,
Yeah.
what if no funding comes through at all?
Yeah, Right.
But, like, for instance, the Knox Mill, they made the decision to open that gate and leave it
Leave it
open
Yep.
for reasons related to the building.
Mhm. Yep.
And so, the answer there would be they'll just leave it like that for a while.
Okay.
And,
All right.
Some
Until either
ugly
falls
you know, and maybe
down.
everybody will have to, you know, we have to get out and try to clean up the pond ourselves or something, or,
Okay.
So question on that. Do we know for sure that the ownership is transferred for the Knox Mill and the Knowlton Street Dam to Downey Salmon Federation already? That has happened, or we're not sure.
that's something that they're working on, and that
It may have happened, but we don't know.
they have, you know, I don't know the status of that, but it's
Being a
definitely not
private
something.
party, probably it's something that.
There was strong support from both of those dam owners,
Oh, yeah, there's no question
You know,
that they
working-
want to get rid of them
whether all the paperwork and
and how much money they want.
all of that, and I don't know if,
$1, as I understood.
Well, that would be good. That's a surprise to me, knowing the owner of the,
oh,
well,
no,
you know,
they're,
yeah.
I mean, that's the
Knox Mill
owner
Village.
that,
Mhm.
he's decided to leave the gate open completely, even without the dam removal funding, so it's.
and there's a huge amount of damage that occurs to that building every year
Right.
because of that dam, so it's no surprise that he would leave it open even if they couldn't get rid of it right away.
Yeah, so my understanding was not that they were gonna try to put a price on I think they would be happy if the land, you know, the landscaping is done and all of everything
Yeah.
cleaned up. That's a big enough benefit from my understanding. But I think, you know, at the beginning, they were looking at different options like hydropower and wanting to make sure that they weren't giving up an asset.
Exactly. Other questions or areas of interest in any of this?
I haven't looked through it well enough to have a solid answer for you yet. But I'm sure that there are things in there that are of interest, but it was a busy week. So I
And it's gonna get even busier.
didn't get 220 pages read on this, so.
The other one's only 90 some.
Well, so I didn't get collectively 300 and whatever pages.
But you did get out there and help clean up the river.
I
and
did
you
help clean
got
up the river,
Amy's
that's
tour,
true.
and-
And I schlepped my kids down there to do it too.
Oh, nice.
And I'm assuming that it's given the time of year and the amount of light, and that there aren't any other work parties scheduled, or are there? Do you know, Allison?
No, we decided after everybody was really cold after the last one.
Yeah.
But there aren't more work
I mean, is there,
scheduled, but there's very much.
there's
we
more
could
to
go
do?
and- Well, but yes, there's definitely more to do, but we could definitely do more tours down there. Because I think as you look at it more and you think about what's underneath there and what, if you're down in Harbor Park and you're not looking at the dam, or and you're just looking now at the bridge that is going to be changed. And as those building owners are making improvements, how can that be as aesthetically appealing
Pleasing.
as possible? You know, that's what Amy's talking about. And it you start to realize why it all is connected and how we, you know, don't want to miss an opportunity to maybe have MDOT make their bridge a little nicer.
Other areas of interest? You have
I
time?
think I had two comments going back to webpage a little bit. Some of my concern with the webpage is there's just so much volume of information that I almost feel like,
On the Mrcac website?
particularly for the Montgomery Dam, I think it would be an interesting thing to have. I think I want people to still be able to access all that information, but almost like a pop-up that comes up that says, this information was archived as of this date and was used to make a recommendation to the select board for the Montgomery Dam and is no longer upkept, or like something to that degree where the project is in a different phase as far as like a recommendation was made on this and it's
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
something where it,
Well, no, they're not getting necessarily something current.
yeah, and that way I guess you could have another side of things. If the grant comes through, then I feel like people may not be interested in the level of sediment anymore here. They may be interested in different aspects that would deal more with construction or other phases of the project, and may have a hard time accessing that information because it's just in the
There's
weeds.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that would be really good information to get up as it becomes available, I would think.
And I think the second thing would be figuring out the scope of this committee as far as, I mean, personally, it's an interest of mine, but I think if the grant were to be received, what role this committee would have in review of, I mean, so there were demolition plans put in here, things like, I think it'd be fun for us to have input on that. I guess I'm not sure
On the
whether,
demolition plan.
well, just things, as far as,
You got a couple sticks of dynamite in your back pocket?
no, but I think it's good to go through here and notes. I mean, there's things like, when I get equipment delivered, can I use the library parking lot to store stuff?
Can you?
No. So I think there's a proposal for something here, and then making it actually work would be like, there's a note in here about removal of granite and storing it. Like, can we utilize offsite storage? I mean, I guess there's actually a lot of granite there, and my guess is you probably don't want just a huge stack of granite sitting in Harbor Park. It might make sense, especially as you go out to bid, for contractors to be aware that they're going to be moving all the granite up to the old tannery site. Hypothetically.
Maybe on the island, I don't know.
They don't love storage of materials at the channel.
I know.
I've heard in my experience, but granite might be different. I mean, I do think they're.
Well,
probably
the
out-
contractors love it. I think that perhaps
Yes,
the
it's-
neighboring community doesn't appreciate it.
Tyler recommends that,
But there's a place in that set of plans.
Yeah.
For us to take a look at and.
I think
offer
so,
suggestions.
and feedback, or just figure out if we feel like they're missing things, or I think whenever we can get, these are typically drawn up by somebody else that's sitting somewhere else that may not be aware of some of those constraints that,
So,
even,
and you're starting with the destruction of the dam, that area.
well, I think I'm,
Oh, sorry, removal.
Removal.
Maybe
That's
they'll blow
on-
it up on the 4th of July, right?
I
there
think,
is, for the record, no explosives or.
Right.
What was the other thing that people were no
That-
blast,
that
no
no
blast, there is
process,
no
Tyler, is
blasting.
Where you're
that is-
focusing right now, but there may be
Yeah.
others.
I think it's in interest of this group. I mean, to me, I feel like this group could be engaged in the whole removal and process at a high level.
Yeah,
But I
right.
think it's,
Well, and also will impact, accessing the boats, getting down.
I think there's a lot of stuff. I
Going
think
down through Harbor Park.
there's a lot of
to get
schedule
onto
and
the
timeline stuff that would be
Schooners and
good.
things like that. I mean, that,
So those impacts.
right.
I mean, I always look at engineering drawings as a recommendation made by somebody else
Mhm.
that, it's our project. So
Yeah.
they may propose something, but I think it's up for us as a community or I think we represent the community. I think, I think it's behooves us to have some control over that and push back on things that we feel aren't appropriate from a timeline or,
Well, there's the library has a very direct role in this.
absolutely.
And so
Yeah,
some of that might be figuring out how that happens, because the library will get to have final decision-making over what goes out to bid and the selection of the contractor. And I think having a back and forth between the library board and this is going to be important. But there are some things that just can't be like muddled out in a committee
No.
to.
No.
So
Well, and I also would think the Reeds, because their property abuts the library, obviously it's going to impact their property as well, and they're going to need to be involved.
And so the library
Mhm.
trustees have been in contact with the Reeds. They've met
Right.
with them. They reviewed some of the designs.
Mhm.
So
A big concern is going to be access to the site from construction or whatever you want to call it, crews
Right.
and equipment and length of time, et cetera, that's going to be needed there, so.
Mhm.
And the needs of the businesses as
Right.
well
Because, I
here.
mean, they talked about equipment using the road that goes down to the schooners for access. And I mean, is that a problem? Time of year?
The library's been pretty, they did a lot of work on that part of it, discussing, you know, those things. The problem is they have issues that they have to solve no matter what too. So I know they actually don't really like that there's so many cars using that, to get down to the windjammers. It's really supposed to be a walking path.
Mhm.
And, so they've been kind of very lenient about the use of that, but it's gotten it's not supposed to be a parking lot down there.
Like Day is like that. little-
Yeah,
Yes,
that's part of
yes,
Harbor Park that's
yes.
controlled by there's discussion, one of the things was having a raised pier instead of the kind of cheap solution we have, which is to have those floats that crush the beach. Really, that's not what you're supposed to do, because it restricts people from walking back and forth and utilizing that part of the beach. And so they have looked at having an elevated access point to those windjammers and instead.
So Allison,
Yeah.
who is going to decide, linking a little bit to Tyler's suggestions, once the money is in hand, who is in charge of planning this whole thing in terms of timeline and all of these details that we've been talking about? Who will be doing that?
There will be a project
Project
manager.
Yeah.
A lot of this is already
But a project manager who is hired to do this?
correct.
This is a professional person.
And probably a clerk of the works or something like that.
And will they have any interaction with us about things that, for example, that Tyler was talking about?
I think that is an open question. I could really, when we start paying people to come to a committee to,
You're probably at fully released drawings and you've probably gone for bid, and like at that point, you're probably committed to a very specific design because someone's also given you a quote for
Right.
doing that very specific design. So
So with
the
your
problem has been a lot of that is the library.
Yeah.
And because they do have control, the dam is in Harbor Park. It forms the boundary of Harbor Park. So the final decision-making, and they have a committee that, talks about whether they're gonna have a railing or not, or, but I do think a weak point a little bit with the last committee. This committee, the last time around, was between the library, once you weren't on the board anymore, and just there was a little bit of like too many separate conversations going on, and that it would be good to figure out how, because I think there are people that are really talented and good at like the details of it. Like Tyler will look at that and be like, well, what if we put that granite here instead? And maybe we could store that here and save $50,000. And I don't know if that's everybody's skill set.
I'm
or
sure
what.
not.
So
Under
I
Tyler's
right, like how
suggestion,
can we
to
get
figure out
Tyler?
how could that happen?
So Allison, maybe
Maybe we could have a liaison from this committee to the
I
library.
wasn't thinking of inviting those people here.
Maybe send Tyler there.
but it sounds like, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
maybe put words in your mouth.
Go for it.
Obviously a significant portion of this project is on, really the primary ownership of it will be the library committee. Now, once you get past a certain point, the library actually doesn't have any authority.
Correct.
Because
And
it's
so,
gone to bid and it's.
I think those are probably the parts that this group should own. Like the library committee probably is not talking about what plants and boulder locations are happening on the island.
They have not wanted to get involved in that.
Well,
but
because I think it's out
somebody
of
should,
their
yes,
scope, I
They
think.
should.
But I think it's
somebody
ours,
should-
right?
Yes, and
But in many ways, I think they ought to be coordinated.
Oh, yeah, they definitely, I mean, where their
Yes.
stuff ends, our stuff
Right.
begins.
Because it's
Right,
sort
but
of an
I think they
extension
ought to
of
be
Harbor
similar,
Park,
and
but
you're
they're, yeah.
buying similar plants, and it ought to have a very similar look. At
Well,
least
that has an
to me.
impact on how people experience the library.
Totally, exactly.
But then there's the garden club has been very much helpful with the other side where that bell is. And
bell?
so
Yes, the
Yes,
bell.
the bell.
bell, which
Tell me
On the
more.
left.
Anchor Park, the,
Looking towards,
So if you go down into the main part of
Standing
the
in-
landing and you're looking, you know where the bridge goes across to the island?
Parking
There's a
lot.
bell
Yeah.
right there.
Right there.
oh,
park,
yeah, okay.
Where we set up to
Yeah.
do, yeah.
it's been improved since you set up
What's
there. And
going
some of that stuff could happen as, without going forward with the dam. But I do think we should take advantage of Tyler's ability even to pull up the visuals and that having somebody maybe go to the library meetings, some way of having
Yeah.
coordination, so that it doesn't also always turn into just, Audra having to be the go-between for everything or.
Well, and I would guess that a lot of the access, when we get funding for the dam, will be on Harbor Park. I mean, that's how they're going to get to that space. isn't
Allison,
that-
excuse me, yeah, you're still liaison to the library, right? I mean, I think it's up to you then to just suggest that, right? Really, as far as try to form any coordination or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe if Tyler mentioned something to Kristen too. I'm always like, do they talk? Sometimes it doesn't really seem like it. I don't want to force you on the library committee if your wife doesn't think it's a good idea, but she's not going to be on there forever either, but
Right, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Once we know if we have funding, it'll be helpful because there will, be somebody beyond just me going to both the library meeting and this meeting.
so Allison, is the leftover 10% mainly library, like the decisions from the library mainly, and then also maybe us?
And then
Little
there's
or-
some with the private
the
property
10%?
owners.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big question. Like, what is 90%? Like,
Yeah.
what is, it's, they're, what we were told is it's things that can be, like the type of plantings, how much, one of the big open questions is like, what is going to happen on the properties right in the impoundment that own to about like 10 feet before the dam. So does the, Camden Deli, for instance, want that to be, walled off, seeded, sediment removed, not removed? Would
Oh, I
you
see.
like to have it be like, because right now I think the assumption is not touching that area. Now that they've been, had the gate open all summer, the 39 Main Street was doing all that work. They've been looking at it. Some of them have been talking together. Now, if they come up with an interest in saying, well, we'd like the town to include in the documents, the bid documents, encapsulating maybe this sediment and seeding this or putting some granite, steps down through here, and
Granite
kind of
steps
thinking
from-
about that more as like a a public space that's an extension of their property, or they might say, no, what we plan to do is try to coordinate, like maybe somebody's deck might be expanded or something like that. And they would maybe want to make sure that they could coordinate that with the project. And I think now that if it's for sure that it's going forward, there will be ideas that didn't come to the surface when they're thinking, no, what we want is for it to stay the same and for this to be a pond. But if the dam has to be removed, I'd rather this happen than that. And so I think not wanting to dictate to anybody what they have to be considering, but also to be open to like good ideas that come out and that might, find ways to benefit them. So that's one
How do
thing. Is
those
just,
conversations happen? Is it like in a group with a couple of the owners and the project manager, or is that
I don't
something
think
that?
that's really gonna, what is my personal opinion is that it's how that happens is by people talking to other people, that if it's not, nobody's gonna wanna come, maybe Amy would probably come and talk to this group, but most people aren't gonna wanna come and have like a formal discussion about this. It's stopping in and saying, like, I've heard all of these ideas from Amy because she was like, come on down and look at this. Or can the town help? If we do a trash cleanup, can the town help get the trash out of there? And then you get talking and,
I guess the question I'm thinking is like, is there going to be a more formal process for those folks to be heard and to get their voice?
no, there's not gonna be more
Property
formal
owners,
process.
they make
Because that
decisions.
doesn't work. We've
Don't they
done,
make the decision about their own buildings?
Yeah, but are they even able to extend, like, if they wanted to extend their deck, are they
Footprint?
even able to do that with their proximity to water?
so back in 2021, as part of this, there was the grant funded by the Maine Coastal Program actually took into consideration some of the things that they had heard. Some people said, well, we would want to be able to expand our buildings. We want to be able to do this. Evaluated under a dam removal scenario, what things would be possible given zoning and other options. So they looked at different ways of maybe connecting some of the back decks. Those conversations didn't go anywhere because there wasn't consensus. For instance, now I know that the Smiling Cow and 39 Main Street would be very interested in having some kind of expanded deck that would allow them to access maybe from one side of Harbor Park or, but that's all in the, some of those things might be able to happen now. Some of them might happen in the future. Some of them might be able to happen if they had the support of some town planning. There is, I think, some money in the grant for some more engineering and design, but that has to be used in a really targeted way once there's a real idea. And some of it has to come from building owners talking to each other and coming up with something that they can.
But even if
Agree
they
on.
did that, what's the next step? That I'm trying to get at what Courtney was asking, I think, is let's say they talk and they come up with an idea and they want it to be part of this project. How does that happen?
Then once there's some consensus, you would have the project manager look at any remaining money that might be available for design and engineering and to say, could you evaluate the feasibility of this? And
Okay,
could this be done within the project budget?
But there's a
there-
timing issue here
I was going to
too.
say, I would think that if and when we receive a grant, that we would then need to reach out to those business owners and say,
Right.
this project is going forward. Are there
That's
things that,
all happening. Yeah, I don't think the committee is going to, I think any of you as individuals should be trying to talk to the people. If it works out, what are your ideas? What are you thinking? Oh, what's this? And that some of it is going to happen
spontaneously?
organically and that when it's
No, but then
forced
what
it.
happens? There's an idea and it arises organically through this conversation. Where does that idea go?
that if they could contact the project manager or me or the select board or anybody that,
Or Jeremy,
what's that?
or Jeremy, or?
For code issues?
For Jeremy. I don't know if I would recommend that as the first.
But I think if we have a
But,
set of
yeah.
plans
Mhm.
for the part of this project that we own, that we're reviewing,
I think it's appropriate for us to engage our butters.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
look at that, here's
Yeah.
and get their input on that.
Right, this
Just-
is what we have.
Just like I'm sure the library committee, because they own that other section, is engaging
The
with their
reads.
butters,
Yeah.
with the reads. I think we should do the same with the butters.
Yeah.
Like
Like
in the
notice.
section of the river that
Yeah.
that nobody has been paying
Well,
attention to.
I'm
like
looking at, I can tell you right now, well, I'm not even talking about that section of the river, like in this most recent, it's interesting because, so Tandem must have been an organization that was brought in by the library
Library to do the,
No, that was,
or not?
Tandem is the new name of
Yeah.
oh,
Amy.
Amen.
But I can tell you,
so,
but he's engaged by the library.
No.
no,
No.
so they
Lake was
engaged
engaged by the library.
Richardson to do landscape architects or landscaping.
I can't tell why, I guess the question is I can't,
Correct, that's right.
so right now when I look at, like, if I look at page,
Right, because there's a page that
177.
talks about the plantings and the
there's
granite.
great, I actually really like that you have like plantings and rock placement and some of these other profiles, and then it
But has the library
stops.
approved that? I wonder.
Is that in the, is that in the,
But it stops at the dam, at like our property has none of that.
Is that because it was part of the harbor resilience?
I can't quite
consulting
tell
group?
if,
Was that
I
Richardson?
think that's why I'm saying it
Well,
seems
this
like
is
the
not
library
Richardson.
contracted to have that part done.
I know.
And it was
But-
put
And I
in.
wondered, has the library looked at it? Because okay, they have. Because they had Richardson originally do plans.
and then we were like, oh my gosh, we have this grant that is funding the design process. So let's not have the library spend a bunch of money that is not grant funded without it being able to take advantage. So they actually had Blake, who is both a member of the Garden Club and Richardson Associates, and did the Inner Harbor Resiliency Study for the town,
Mhm.
which is why then I think some of the library was like, wow, this guy has some really good ideas. We want to hear what he has to say, which was great, but he initially wasn't at all intertwined with this
Right.
process. And so the hope is that he actually could help with some of these like finishing touches kind of things.
Because I
and
was
to help-
looking at the plants, even though they're all native Maine plants, they're not necessarily things that Olmsted would have chosen because they're
Yeah.
flowering.
But I think
and-
that's up for the,
Yes.
I think-
Interesting.
Yes.
I think that's up for the library to work out.
Yes.
But I guess my concern is it seems like the library is currently ahead of us
Yep.
in the design. Like I see no planting designs for the island or
Right.
surrounding some of the other parts.
Mhm.
All there is a dotted line that says refer to the interflow drawings.
So that island was considered to be very much in the 10%, and not wanting to,
Yeah, but
None of
Allison,
that
there's like a lot missing.
There's really nothing on the island.
If you guys go to, do you have the ability to pull up that?
uh,
I'm looking at the Montgomery Dam, BODR,
The 90%?
correct.
What page?
What page?
Sorry, page 177 is where I'm looking, or 176, or 186, sorry.
Or
Where?
196.
186, 187.
Who gets to decide about the design of the island?
I think that's on our committee.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were
So if you
saying.
look
I
at,
don't know, Tyler. You guys didn't want to, this committee was so like afraid of talking about the island before that you're like, oh, so-and-so doesn't want a Brit, so we can't talk about it. And it ended up just being like that's why Eamon came up with designs that just showed a denuded island, basically. It was
I
just,
don't remember did we? I don't
We said
remember-
no bridge. We didn't
said
want it
no
to be
bridge.
really
We were clear
complicated.
about the
To,
bridge.
For the record, I said I like the bridge.
everybody likes the Brit. So
no, it was more just an image thing. We didn't want to create any kind of blockade towards like people saying yes or no to things. So we wanted to simplify it.
right, so
But
everybody-
now-
It's tactical.
Now
The
we
first-
game on.
The
Let's
first
talk about it.
drawings that came through had a bridge going there, but it went over private property. It didn't go over town-owned property. It went right behind the buildings like Camden Deli, et cetera, almost attached to it. It's over a private
Oh,
property.
I felt like it was too
walkway.
far
That's
from
the
the
kind of
buildings
thing-
personally. I
And
would have
we-
rather
and
seen
we- and we
that.
deleted those from the drawings, or hadn't.
Yeah.
hadn't
And there's
deleted
one
the drawings.
below
Well, there
it,
also
too.
was the comment that people walking on the backside of the buildings can't access the businesses.
That's-
Pulling away.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Allison, I guess,
And it's
Which
maintenance.
paralyzed all future,
It's somewhere, it's another thing to
That's a
maintain.
so.
So there,
so like this page here that you have up and the next page might be a better example because the next page is the plantings. If you just scroll down a little bit.
So I can tell you, like, as
you
normal,
think-
you want to get in really into the nitty gritty of the design, which is great.
Well, I
But-
think, I mean, this area at some point, to go out for bid, you gotta, like, it needs to look like this.
yes.
This
Over
area
there.
needs to look like that for someone to even give you
That's
Quote.
not, this isn't the only design available, but it's also, that is definitely part of Harbor Park.
but
All of that is part of Harbor Park.
this isn't though.
That's gonna be the bedrock, I mean, a
And
lot of
this
that's gonna
isn't.
be, well, that's not what you're pointing, this isn't meant to be.
Do we know what we're looking at?
I think you should do a deep dive into the drawings, like the architectural
Mhm.
drawings and specify some things that you think could be
Are
improved.
those available? Do you think this area are available and are mature to the same point as this other side?
Well, let's just see what we have.
Yeah, because see, there's a planning schedule. I mean.
Like, I really like-
I was amazed that there was a planning schedule and I assumed.
And you may not like it, but it's a starting point to,
And that's what the
Have
library said too. They
discussions.
said, and this was done so that we could, a lot of it is fulfilling a deliverable because this was all grant funded. And so they have to finish at some point. And so they said, we're putting these in place and it's totally
it's a placeholder.
fine if the library wants to decide later that these all need to be this type of planting or that type of planting. What they couldn't decide later was, oh, we want to plan for 16 feet of sea level rise, not
Mhm.
4 feet.
Hmm.
That took a lot of time because they said that they wanted to plan for the worst case scenario, but that means having a pathway that's very high.
Far away from the water.
And then how do you get, it doesn't jive all that well with their other goal of making it easier for people to get to the water. So there was a lot of going back and forth about that, but I think there's a lot of opportunity still for, like the overlook. They ended up, there was so much disagreement. The library wanted to make the overlook, more rounded, and look less angular
Mhm.
and basically less like the
No
dam.
straight lines.
And it was kind of like, well, part of the overlook was to be actually like, this is kind of what the dam
It's
looks
a
like.
remnant.
Right, it's a remnant of the dam. It's supposed to show part of what was there. People are supposed to be able to stand on it and have a little bit of a similar feel. So but we could spend out, but that will need to be worked out. And I think if we find out that we get the funding, then we'll go back to the engineers and all those people and say, what are your deadlines going to be for, what are the decisions that still need to be made? Which decisions are just going to be a library decision based on their research? What decisions are, flexible for public input? What things really needed to be decided now and what things can be, decided later, like if an additional bench goes out on the island.
It's more, I want to make sure that it seems like the library is doing their homework for their part. I want to make sure that we don't drop the ball for
Mhm.
the other part.
And then we know what we're supposed to be working on too.
Remain abreast of them as they're moving forward so we don't get left in the dust.
Yeah, and I think and because where they stop, I mean, where Eamon's lines stop contour wise, that's kind of where we begin.
Right.
And it should mesh. Yeah, they need to mesh together.
Right.
When do
Yeah,
we think?
but keep in
and I would
mind,
think
there's
you'd
no
want-
way to keep a schedule. Like this all has to get permitted and stuff. And so
Yeah, but if we had either from one of these diagrams or created one that gave us a focus for where we want to catch up with the library in terms of input and design elements, that would help. this group move forward. Not that everybody be interested in the same thing.
I think you guys have to kind of look at it and be like, actually look at the design and say, this, I have an idea for this. This would be good, you know, instead of making plans to talk about it
Mhm.
in the future, more like actually
Oh, it needs
just
to be,
come forward.
I think it needs to be
Like-
working meetings, not,
Like you could
Exactly.
come forward and be like, you know what, we really need to do, I think we should do that. This is an idea I have. What does everybody else think? Could we try to fit that in?
That's all I was trying to get
Or
at,
you
is
have
to
a
have a
committee that
base.
works on it and brings their ideas then to the group.
It has to happen a little bit fast, which is why since
Right.
Tyler can draft up visuals.
How fast?
No, because we have to find out about.
I know,
A
but,
lot of this is, it's stuff that
but do we have
If there's-
until February?
I don't,
yes.
not to start that, I mean, if you have ideas about
No,
what
no,
should
no,
be in a design, then
No,
start.
not to begin in
What month are
February.
you in?
Between January 1st and some date in the future. We could have 1 or 2 or 3 working meetings.
Right, and identify who wants to be a part of that rather, you know, you don't want to exhaust everybody.
Right.
And I think some people are going to have an interest in detailed design and looking at that kind of stuff. And some people are like, you know, I just wanted to talk about the pathways that might be at the Seabright Dam and, you know, contacting the water company to see if we can have a, you know, an extension of a path to Route 52, or I noticed there's some land on the other side of the Seabright Dam that belongs to the town. Can we have this project facilitate, you know, access to that, or?
I'm hesitant to splinter the group, given how busy people are, to have them pick anything between here and the lake as something they're interested in. At some point, we need to know that. But if there's no need to do that now.
Let me talk to Kristen, because I think I think it should really be the same group that's working on the same thing at the library.
Yes, they have,
I think
they're
it's,
pretty organized.
they're
and-
pretty organized. I think it's just
Yeah,
because
it
I don't
doesn't-
think they should work in a vacuum and we should work in a vacuum.
No,
and
I
hope
agree with
that
that.
No.
Wherever their viewing platform, I mean, viewing platforms on your property, viewing platform's probably is probably town property.
Yeah.
But the walkway to get to it is on
Library.
library property, at least according to this.
And you have the businesses that
Right.
are going to
Dotted line.
overlook the island
Sure.
and that area,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're going to have an interest in what they're looking at.
Exactly.
I
Seems
guess
like there should
it
be more
concerned me when I
formalized
looked at this and
process
saw
for
like
this.
one area
There's not.
pretty refined and then another area with like a dotted line.
To be
It was
announced.
like, yeah, kind of like,
Well, that's what we did, because it was like, well, I'm so
No,
embroiled
I
in
mean-
controversy about the bridge or no bridge or.
It really wasn't. We were just,
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
were
say, I don't recall it
anticipating
that way.
politics at that
Yes.
point that were
Yeah.
electoral politics that we were
Exactly.
dealing with, and how do we get to a binary? Now, how do we get everybody start thinking about this in terms of a binary? And
Yeah, the more
now
variables.
we're post that, we're after that, so we can start to, I don't think anyone was opposed to it. It's just sort of like, let's
limit.
we had so many conflicting charges. And one of them was, let's reduce this down to the simplest thing that people can look at in an ephemeral way, say yes or no.
Mhm.
This is what I want for
trying to
Montgomery
get people
Dam.
to decide whether you wanted to maintain or remove the Montgomery Dam. And there was such a big walkway, white structure in one of the pictures that
Right.
we felt it distracted from.
Oh, yeah, they also removed like every bit of vegetation. from the island.
Well, but
Probably because it was
I
a
was
long
like,
time
We
of
didn't have
year,
a lot of
right?
input in how those pictures showed up.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
didn't-
that's a really hard thing to do when you're trying to decide whether a project goes forward or not. It was just paralyzing
Yeah.
because everybody said, we just want to know what it would look like if the dam was removed. But then
What time of year?
how do you
and
do
how
that
much
without
water
like
and-
deciding, oh, well, we would do this with this space and.
So I'll take an action to talk to Kristen and
Yeah.
figure out if there's a more
I think a
coordinated
couple
way that we
people
could.
from this committee
Yeah.
could be a
Yeah.
liaison
I'd be happy.
there. And
I think everybody in this room likes to be a part of the invitation circle and maybe opt out of some of those meetings. But I think as long as we're keeping everybody in the group notified about all the work that's happening, and then if we are going to have regular meetings that look like traditional committee meetings, we can report back at that time.
there's just also a lot of stuff that is not related to the libraries. part. So there's, yeah. There's just
I
a
mean,
lot.
a further question for the group to think about, since we focused most of this right around the dam property.
Mhm.
Do we want, in the near future, to take that next reach, that step up to the Brewster Building? Are there things that I'm conscious of your indicating that there's probably a time limit?
There's a time limit on.
On the dam,
Well,
right.
the bridge and getting any.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
are they
we would-
scheduled for next fall? Is that the tentative schedule for that bridge?
No, I don't think so. I think
So
it's
what
2027.
role can we have in talking about the bridge, the Main Street Bridge? Any role?
How can we contribute to that conversation?
Better said, Rick, thank you.
Oh.
Oh, Allison is speechless.
I was gonna say.
Nada? I think if you weren't inspired by the tour, which only Ellen was there, so it's hard to.
I was
then it
on
might
top.
not-
I couldn't go
Right,
down
then it
in
might
the-
not be, I don't think it. I think you should read the other report. If you want, I
Are
can
are there
flag.
pictures that
How
show what you
about
were
I
saying?
write up what I think I heard from Amy during our tour, and some of them, maybe the points and highlight a couple pages from the other interfluve report that mentions what the problem could be, and see if it seems like something the committee would want to look at. One thing we had
What
kicked
would we
around-
do? if
Send
we
a letter to
looked at it?
MDOT and say the bridge design needs to be looked at harder. And it is, given all of the research we've done and all the investment that's going to be made in this area of town, the bridge design is not up to the standards of what should happen. It's too narrow. Do you really want to have to be looking at water pipes hanging down? We want to make sure that it's doesn't have as much of a potential to trap debris, and that it's aesthetically pleasing in a way that works with the building owners who are putting a bunch of work into their buildings. And let's actually, look at this. Maybe just flagging it to say, we don't think the design is ready to go. If everybody, agrees with that, you might look at it and say, well, I think they're doing the best they can. And
Are there particular things we should look at if we were interested in pursuing that?
Well, isn't it the
I mean, to me-
major problem that it's narrow?
Yeah, to
narrow?
me,
Yeah.
the fact that it's
The abutment.
2/3 of what it should be.
And it
It's
pushes
concerning.
I could send the pictures out too that I took when you guys were with her, but it also, it pushes the river a little bit more toward 39 Main Street than maybe where the lowest point was. That caused, you have one piling there on 39 Main Street that's kind of in the way of the opening of the bridge because they put it back the way it has been. But if the bridge is going to be redone, there would be value and better aligning the opening of the bridge with like the depth of the actual bedrock. The river wants to go a little more toward Harbor Park and where the nail salon is. But right now it's the abutment of the bridge prevents the water from going under the nail salon side. And also if you stand on like David Dickey's bridge and you look up, you see concrete, you see the bridge abutment rather than water, and more water gets forced underneath the House of
Logan, House of Logan.
House of Logan and 39 Main Street and the Smiling Cow.
Mhm.
And so is there a way to,
Are the current abutments perpendicular to the road bed?
yes.
But I would think also that there would be scouring on those abutments if it's not the natural course of the river, and therefore that would be less stable over time. In other words, there would be more damage done to the bridge.
And what the big thing is for a community is the potential for debris trapping. So they're going to eliminate a little bit of that by getting rid of the center pier
Right.
on the bridge, but you still have all the buildings and the bridge already being too narrow. So in the places, there's just if you're going to have it go under buildings, you should have it be a little wider and maybe coordinate the replacement of some of those building supports in a way that can be complementary. So there's just not as much debris trapping ability. And that's where I think that the town in this process might be able to help those building owners who are going to have to make investments no matter what. But if you can make, the Smiling Cow is going to be where it's going to be, but maybe the footings could be done differently so that there aren't so many right in the middle of the bridge, and the things do get trapped. It's not good, or things do wash down the river. It's not going to be trapped in the, tangled up in the Smiling Cow or the bridge or the House of Logan. But nobody's been able to be under there very much looking at it. So you just, I think MDOT is trying to do the easiest possible thing by saying,
Right.
we're just going to leave the abutments where they are. We're going to reinforce them on the sides and not touch anything else because we don't want to have to stay in Camden longer or, but since we already know that, like the nail salon, for instance, they're going to have to do a bunch of work. 39 Main Street just went and did a bunch of work before somebody else puts a bunch of money into their building. And maybe the answer is no, but is there a way
To coordinate.
so that there could be some kind of, superstructure or?
So I apologize if I've already missed all these deadlines, but is there still some portion of the DOT's public hearing process that's incomplete? Are they still scoping for input, or is
They're
that
going to say,
over?
no, we've got it pretty much settled. But it's like anything. That's why, no, it would take the town combined with some business owners, sending a powerful message to say, we don't think this design is good enough. Please don't proceed with the design. We would like additional input. And that's why I think it might make sense to bring it to this committee if there's interest. It's gonna impact the way everything looks when we're done. But
So where, I know you don't like this question, but what's the deadline, the absolute drop dead deadline by which we could halt things or at least press pause
on the bridge,
on the DOT thing?
I have no idea. That is influencing them is a little bit of a mystery to me. I've been told that it would have to be like a really strong, like somebody would have to be friends with Janet Mills or something. But maybe that's not,
But Allison, I know that
I have to run to get to.
I'm on the committee in Rockport for the new bridge over there. And we have meetings with our DOT counterparts every 2 months. And we've been modifying the design of them and the railing system and the colors and lights and.
Right. So,
and
but
they've been fairly open to.
right, because it hasn't been as controversial of a situation
Okay.
in Rockport. And so I think the MDOT is like, oh, we don't want to upset any, but if there were
They're gonna
consensus,
upset us if
now
they're
we have
not.
building owners that are actually coming to us and saying, hey, I think we could do better here. And so I think if there's a lot of agreement between the town and some of the people that were against doing
Yeah,
things, that we could speak with a stronger voice, that they would be more willing to listen to. But the town has been afraid to talk about it very much. And MDOT, they keep saying, MDOT doesn't want to ruffle feathers, but
So if,
I
if-
have a
Yeah,
football
go
banquet
ahead.
to go to,
Go ahead.
but
we'll stop talking so you can leave, because if
Guys
you keep
can-
talking, you're not going to leave.
let me know
Go
what you
ahead.
guys decide.
Thanks,
as
Allison.
if I
Thanks,
can
Allison.
tell anything to the select board or- Thank you, guys.
all by tomorrow.
My only concern would
I'm
be,
kidding.
I kind of did pull up our purpose as a committee. And I think it may be appropriate for us to provide input on it, but maybe not be
Oh, on the
lead.
bridge?
Yeah.
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 I'm kind of just looking at it and it seems like if we're specifically providing recommendations based on like sustainability and resiliency, I think
No, other than.
we could, as a group, provide, but I feel like, I mean, I guess I would encourage the select board to just put together a citizens group that meets with DOT and
Right.
figures out what's
Right.
going on.
Because not only the aesthetics, but this, the resilience affected.
All right, so that could be our recommendation, the select board.
Right.
Pull together, get testimony from townspeople so that it isn't just the select board. Okay.
Yeah.
And that would allow us to refocus on the parts of the land around the dam
You're trying to find our.
that
mission
is
statement.
related to our
Yeah,
mission.
good, thank you.
And the island is part of it, but what else? The water now separates the island from part of the
Yes.
public landing, but do we want to say, or should we say anything about the connection between that edge of the public landing and the island?
Ah.
Because you wouldn't design the island.
And then not be able to access it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on with the bridge? Do we know? Is that the bridge that's there now? Or I don't know if it's
No,
there
it's
now.
not, it's not connected to the island now.
Oh, okay.
It's taken away.
It's a bridge
It's at
to
the public
nowhere?
landing.
What is
Yeah,
it, a bridge to
yeah, the
nowhere?
aluminum
Outside.
monstrosity
I
is
don't
called.
mean,
Yeah.
it was intentionally broad.
But
So it's temporarily removed?
Well, if there's
It's
not water under there,
temporarily
couldn't you
removed. They
come
do
up with
that-
other?
I mean, they do it and they should do it because it's a liability to have it up there during the winter.
Yeah.
Yes.
It may be a
Dangerous.
liability all the time.
I was
but
gonna
yeah.
say,
It's an aesthetic liability anyway.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Any
It's
time of
terrible.
year.
Yeah, right. But, yeah, so that's parked down by the bell.
Yeah, by the bell.
I'm sorry, I get sidetracked by like details and sort of
Sure.
governance things and
Mhm.
in policy. And to Tyler's point about whether that kind of engagement would be within the scope of our charge, I think it is. I mean, if you look, I just wanted to look at the wording. I mean, it is clearly about improving sustainability and resiliency of the river and the watershed. And I'm going back to when we wrote that mission. Remember we were intentionally broad
Mhm.
so we could capture a lot of things that were within the scope of what basically improving everything about the river. And I think that, a bridge is a part of a river, to the same extent where, like the thing I was passionate about at one point, so maybe we'll get to it, walkways next to the river. It really isn't about hydrology or water quality or anything like that. It's about human interaction with the river, which is the way I've always envisioned our engagement. And I think, and I'm not even advocating for us getting into the weeds about whether we should have pipes visible under the bridge or anything like that. But I am thinking about how we can contribute to this process to the extent we want to, the extent that I can, until we get the stuff I'm actually interested in. And it would be about what I'm thinking about now is that we have the opportunity to regain some trust and demonstrate good faith to the business owners who I think felt sour about the way the town elected to go in a direction they didn't want. And I think it's a good faith thing on our part, our meaning town government, to the extent we're a part of that, to say, look, we understand you're left here trying to, clean up a little bit. How can we help you get to a result that you like, that's broadly within the scope of resiliency
Find
of
out
the river?
what the back of their building are going to be looking at the kinds of things we're talking about.
Right.
And so what would they like to see? Not just what do they want to do with their building, put another deck
Yeah.
or something else, but what do you want to look at
exactly.
from the back of your building? Because we don't know that yet.
I mean, my position all along was that I think, let's just say the Camden Deli folks in particular, who were very skeptical about dam removal at the time, I think my feeling all along was, I think once we get beyond the thing, they're going to be happy their customers is looking down at something that's nice, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And if they have some input into that, I
I
think
think-
that's
Exactly.
going to be.
Yeah.
It's important.
I would like to help that happen
Yes,
somehow.
I think
Yeah.
that's important. I think it's imperative.
I feel like there should be a more formal process for that. Maybe that word formal is uncomfortable, but because Allison seemed to be worried about making it more formal.
Yeah.
But is there a way that's in
Noticed that.
between? So like, that's, maybe we need more information about why she feels that way, but I do feel like I'm also not sure when the project manager is coming online, because that's going to be important.
Any
An important
attempt to
piece.
get dates
puzzle.
was
Yeah.
impossible tonight.
Well, we
So
don't know
maybe there's a
anything about it.
there's a
Grant.
few unknowns here.
I know.
And Tyler, I want to go back to another thing you said, because I'm on board with what I think you were saying, and that is that I think part of what we should be doing is providing notice to folks about not only what might be happening, but their opportunity to engage in that.
Yeah.
And I think it's all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want those people at the table
Totally.
and not feeling like something's happening to them.
Yeah.
Or that we've ignored them or not notified them.
Right, but having those people at the table points to the difference between what Allison was suggesting and what Courtney is talking about.
Right.
Allison would like us, one or two at a time, to go and talk to in an informal way. Okay, Rick, to the business owners, one at a time. And maybe that's okay, but we don't know how much time we have. And is there a benefit in having more than one of them in the room or in the conversation at the same time? And do we want something that formal? In other words, do we want to have them here, or do we want to have, a smaller meeting over coffee? Not just waylay them in their buildings, but maybe if Tyler comes up with a schematic of what we're talking about, then we'd have something that often helps, I found, with groups to talk rather than in the abstract. We're talking about this. What would you like to see?
I agree.
And I think as a group, people sort of feed off of each other. They all hear the same thing at the same
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
So there's not, well, this group said this and this group said that.
And that's what I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
and not presenting ourselves as we're not the decision makers,
Right.
but we're collecting information that we can then share.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, rebuild the trust, we hope.
Yes.
Because I am genuinely curious, now that it's been decided by the town to remove the dam, what do you want to see? I mean, we've heard a lot from
Right.
Amy about what she doesn't want to see or smell. And still not anything concrete about what she would like to see or
Yeah.
David would like to see, or any of the others. And I don't know whether the owner of the nail salon, his name's Smith too, but not related.
Chris Nolan, doesn't Chris Nolan?
Nolan?
Chris
own that?
Nolan, no, the other Chris Nolan
I think-
owns that building.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's another Nolan
Yeah.
who owns that building. I don't know whether he's engageable, but I think most of the others are. But anyway, that's one possibility, is to have one or two or three of us meet informally with them. And it
Yeah.
could start with a single conversation with Amy and David and the others. This is what we're thinking of doing. Would you be interested in joining us?
Yeah, the ones who are on the dam side of the
Exactly.
street, of Main Street.
Exactly.
On Main
Right.
Street,
Right.
exactly. Not
Right.
yet going
Right,
across.
and you as a property owner
Let-
on the
let
other
me-
side, maybe
yeah.
there's a reason
And let
to
me
get
check
the
with,
others.
I'm going to start with the library and see what their process is, because ideally, I mean, there's always a question of funding and stuff, but ideally, like Eamon's been working on this part, like it seems to make sense to,
Mhm.
like I was hoping this plan would be all the way across.
Right.
And it'd be nice to have a meeting, and
Yeah.
you have a meeting on this part, and you go, the first 2 hours of the meeting are going to be for the Reed property up to here.
Mhm.
And then at that point, we'll transition to this portion.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
Right.
I feel like it should be the same thing,
Yeah, more cohesive.
same group or,
Okay, so that is a slightly more formal process to do it that way.
and I think the people, I would love to see David and Amy there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as part of that process. I don't know.
Okay,
I'll talk to the library and see what what their standing meetings look like, so.
Yeah, and if they're interested in that kind of collaboration,
Yeah,
that would be great.
I have to go on people.
Yeah, I think we're,
But Tyler,
Meeting is quickly
as
coming
you're-
to a
as you're
close.
Booting down or whatever
Yeah.
you call it. But was that part of what you were trying to express before about, making sure people were receiving notice in some form or another?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should just be engaged.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Sooner rather than
100%.
later.
Yeah, and I think I
Because
agree with you
don't
that,
want the
But we'll
opportunity to
start
go
with
away.
connecting with the library.
I think that's a great place to start because I can
start, and
see
then we
from
can
this
move
that they've
beyond.
done more, they're
Right.
ahead of us right now
Yeah.
in engaging their neighbors.
So we will wait to hear from you.
Yep.
And then we'll figure out what to do after the first of the year. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Merry
meeting is
Christmas.
over.
Oh, meeting adjourned.
Wait,
Wow.
are we,
Can you shut us down?
maybe
I'm
it would
gonna-
be helpful to figure out timing for